Welcome, 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 gorgeous souls, to another gorgeous, joyful, and joy-fueled episode of Live Your Best Laugh. I am super excited because I didn't know I was going to have my next guest on this season, and we've managed to make it work. So I'm like, yay, super excited to welcome the wonderful Phil Roberton, who is the founder of the Flawed Hero Marathon and Movement, one of the most inclusive and inspiring endurance even events in the UK. He's also a wellness coach. We first connected through Great Ormond Street. I think it's 3 years ago now, Phil. And I just thought you were such a brilliant human. So we have stayed connected since. And I just think it's incredible all the wonderful stuff you're doing for Flawed Hero. But above all, I just thought you were such a top running coach, such a great support for my first marathon. So I was like, right, I'm staying in his world. So it's wonderful to have this opportunity to do a podcast episode with you, my lovely. So would you like to say hello to everyone listening, and whatever else you would love to share to add on about yourself?
Kat, thank you so much for a lovely little introduction. It's wonderful to see you. It has been, well, 3 years since you ran that wonderful marathon, which we'll touch on shortly, but it was probably 4 months prior to that. It's probably end of 2022, we probably first connected. It's lovely to be here. Hello to everyone. I do speak very quickly, so apologies in advance, whether that's enthusiasm or just over joyfulness, I'm not sure. But happy to be here, and thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I do a mixture. I might really go really, really quickly with speaking, and then sometimes I go into that meditation voice. So like, who knows what will happen with me when I get excited? I do speak really, really quickly. So I'm just gonna remind myself to like try and hone that back in. Yeah, that first marathon, what, 2023, wasn't it? And you were there cheerleading us all on. So I think it's incredible what you're doing now with Flawed Hero. You're such a champion for people believing what's possible, right? So I think that's why there's a lot of synergy in your work and my work. It's completely different work, right? But we're often speaking about the same message, aren't we? Of, actually we can do incredible things. We can do things which feel like a wild dream, or maybe not even possible, like for us, and that it's somebody else's thing, right? And my belief is, if we've got that like inclination, that desire, then like I always kind of say, like, why not you? Do you know what I mean? I think often we can kind of say to ourselves, oh gosh, why me? Is it really possible? And my counter to that is always like, why not you? And I think that's like the essence of, a lot of your work you do, Phil, right?
We talk about the overlap on things. I think it's because I see things as being quite simple. I think we overcomplicate a lot.
Yeah.
In a world now with social media and comparing what other people are doing, and influencers grabbing attention very quickly. But I think we've lost the simplicity of how to live life. It's very simple. Nature has the answer for everything in terms of healing and to live a good life. We can choose to breathe differently, how we start our mornings, our evening routines, what we eat, our environment. That's the people we involve ourselves with. Things like laughter, breath work, all that stuff it's free. It's all good stuff, and it does so much for you. So it's all about consuming the right things rather than just consuming this digital world that we are in at the moment. So I've been coaching people forever. I've been involved with the London Marathon for 20 years this year. Spent the last 17 years coaching charity runners. So very, very closely tied with charity runner stewardship. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But you came in quite an interesting year in 2023 on the back of COVID. It was the first April London Marathon for a few
Yeah.
years. So we had there back in October during COVID, 21 and 22, and then 23 was the first time we came back to London Marathon in April. And for me, that was, we're back now. The world's back to normal. London Marathon's in April. We can get on with our lives. So that was a really special year. That was Great Ormond Street Charity of the Year. Just an amazing thing to be a part of. I ran that year as well. So I coached the team of, we must have had 900 people that year. Must have had 900 runners in total. Ran with my wife. I ran as the big bear, Bernard the Bear costume as well. So I was all part of it. I think it's important as a leader or as part of a team to show up as well, to be in the trenches with others. I think that's how we can relate to people. I think that's how we can inspire people. And you're right, all I do is believe in people probably before they believe in themselves. That's my
Mm.
favourite thing, is to get people in a room, first time London Marathon runners, and just look at their fear, look at their nerves. And I know within 30 minutes or an hour, their posture changes, their belief in themselves completely changes. And then they're in a different trajectory now. Their belief in themselves, and they're going to achieve something amazing. So that's all I do, believe in people.
Oh, and yeah, gosh, I'd forgotten we were that many actually for that cohort. I think you're right. It was like about 900 people. It's incredible, isn't it? And this is a thing I think with doing something like running a marathon, you then can go, well, actually, what else can I do? I think it's such a great way of showing ourselves that actually we're capable of way more than we would believe ourselves. And I think also we can talk ourselves into something and talk ourselves out of the same thing and be very convincing for both parts to then make ourselves feel a bit better. So something like a marathon, which, for I would say for most of us can feel like a real stretch for sure. I just because it's a stretch doesn't mean it's not possible. And it was definitely a wild, wild dream for me. But when I met you, I was fully on board with it, wasn't I? And my mindset was like, okay, there's not a kind of like, oh, will I be able to? Like I knew in my bones I would be able to do it, but I'd never run distances like that. And that was like a huge ask of myself in like my physical training, whatever. But the mind piece is everything, isn't it? Like that whole mindset of marathon mindset makes all the difference, isn't it?
Well, it's how you speak to yourself as well. It's the affirmation of, and also it's like, I am a marathon runner. I do things, and for me, the reason why I get so many runners on the start line is because I don't believe people are training for a marathon. For me, it's we're training for life.
Yeah,
Just do life better. The byproduct is we're able then to choose, if we want to, do great, amazing things with a little bit of guidance and a little bit of understanding into what we are doing. So, I mean, we're in a funny time now. I mean, obviously, yeah, London Marathon probably looks a little bit different for you. For me, I'm very much a London Marathon purist, and I worked at London Marathon House from 2005 to 2008. So, floor London Marathon, very, very different world to the now double marathon next year, which I can come on to. It's just changed massively, and I think the landscape of running has changed dramatically during COVID, and particularly since then. Every single coffee shop's got a run club. More people are moving, which is brilliant. But it's a brand game. It's a monetary game where brands are just trying to jump on people, and I think not doing it that well for the people. I'm not sure we're serving the people. So I see it. I
right.
see what the London Marathon doing, and I understand it as a business. I've worked very, very, very closely with charities on runner stewardship and worked very closely with the events team. So I completely see it from the charity's point of view. But where I come in is I care about the people. My job is to get runners on the start line of London, and I'm fully invested in and understand what it takes to get someone on the start line. And I think it's also recognizing that it's not really a race. There's a bit of conflict. There's people that keen runners and London marathons about running. For me, it's not. It's a glorified fun run. Is if it's
Yeah,
what it is. I think we put so much pressure on numbers as a metric for success. When in fairness, we just need to chill out a little bit. You're not going to win it. You're not going to come last. You can come somewhere in between. What are you going to learn along the way? And that's not the day itself. The day itself's the easy bit. Really, really is. It's navigating life, getting from
yeah,
saying yes to committing to it to crossing that start line.
yeah,
We know the stats, the amount of people that don't make the start line. There are massive stats that people that pick up their race numbers from the running show who don't make the start line. But we know just shy of 99% of people that cross the start line will cross the finishing line. So it's understanding as a coach, what are people struggling with to get to the start line.
yeah,
Changed again over the years. It really has changed, and I could speak for hours on why. Historically, it was overuse injuries because of the content was given by really good running coaches for people who love running, and for me, that's not the clientele. It's then since social media become this comparison piece. Now
yeah,
we're evolved into the world of algorithm-based training apps, where these apps are giving these magical training plans with no actual real understanding into you as an individual, your stress levels,
Mm.
lifestyle, what you're juggling, what your purpose is, all these other bits and pieces. So they don't, so I'm just seeing a lot of change, and I think we just need to be kinder to ourselves. Realize that actually we're all good. Just get on that start line, you'll be fine. You will be more than fine. So
Yeah.
it's interesting with the London Marathon double next year as well. Yes, more people on the start lines. There's a lot to consider, but my take is who is looking after these people committing to run a marathon next year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Charities are going to get double the places potentially. How are they going to steward the runners? How are
Yeah.
they going to look after them? And that's kind of where I like to come in.
Yeah, yeah, and you do an incredible job with that because I've experienced that with Great Ormond Street and with Brain Research UK. I think what you were talking there about the simplicity of like just that kind of like let's just strip it back and like see it for what it is, right? And I think this is life itself. I think so often we're like rushing from A to B and we don't allow ourselves to like be in the in between, and like you say, like we're running to like hit that Strava thing or like improve our splits and it's not that any of this stuff isn't okay, right? But it's losing the essence. And I think this is what we do in life. We just, like we look towards the weekend or we look towards the holiday or like that great event that we've got, coming up or whatever. And we just end up not finding and enjoying like the simplicity, which is what joy is all about, right? It's about just, I think right at the beginning you were talking about just being in nature, like just allowing ourselves to like pause and be in the moment, which is why things like breath work, laughter, all these things are just so important because it gets us from this very busy space of our head into, wow, I'm actually here today, you know? And as we know, like that's a gift, right? It's a gift to be here on this planet, living and breathing. And if we don't actually like just stop and pause and strip back to the simplicity, like whether that's enjoying the run for enjoying the run, loving the actual marathon for loving the marathon, for the humanness, the connection, the all that stuff, which is led by the heart. And just, like this conversation now, just like really being in it and enjoying it, then it's like, well, why are we here? You know, that's what it makes me think. Why are we here if we're not actually like being in the moment?
And being in the moment is the biggest thing for London Marathon. I think I just want people to take the pressure off themselves. The amount of people that will feel fear of not hitting a particular time through
Yeah,
perceived what people think about that time. Because unless you run under 4 hours, you're rubbish. Wherever it might be, people chase times, or if a family member or friend is under a particular time, we feel that we'll be judged if we don't do a particular time. But actually, strip that away. The joy you have on race day is amazing, and it's a wonderful day. And actually, I wish people spent more, spend another 20 minutes on that course rather than and taking it all in, rather than looking at their watches, listening to music, and just powering towards the finishing line. No one
yeah,
has to be a martyr in this. Why don't you enjoy the moment? Because if you want to run a quick London marathon or a quick marathon, you're not going to do it at London. So just chill out. So just
yeah,
recognise. Don't moan about it. Don't go. There's too many people on the course. Yeah, there's a lot of people on the course. All good. Share the story, share the community, share the collective. Spend time reading what's on the back of people's vests. Understand
mm,
the reasons why, and that's one thing I always speak about. It's not the how that we do something that's important. It's the why that keeps us going. The
yeah,
how is the easy bit. Just keep moving. Just
yeah,
one foot in front of the other. Keep cracking on. It's the reason why you're doing it, makes you continue to do that. You look around. There are 50,000 whys on that. Next year there'll be 100,000 whys. Many people that need that, and I think it's not a running event. It's the world's biggest single day fundraising event next year, with biggest weekend running fundraising event in the world. But also the thing we miss, it's the biggest single day therapy session you'll ever be a part of, because the person that crosses that start line is not the same person who crosses that finishing line. So you've got to let go of stuff. And I think when we're we're all running for certain things, and life is really hard, and we don't share what's going on in our lives, and we have this massive load. You know, pushing yourself physically forces those barriers to come down. The emotions do come out. When
Mm.
you get the love of 800,000 people cheering your name, it hits differently, and that's the ingredient. Those little ingredients change you when you run down the mile. You have those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on a road where strangers are calling your names out and checking in with you and encouraging you. Why can't that be 365 days a year? You get overwhelmed, you run down the mile, you look up and you see this finishing line, and it's something you doubted for so many months. And then, I've been very fortunate to be at the grandstand for many, many years watching these people run down the mile. And you can see people's bodies physically change.
Yeah.
They're hobbling along, they'll look up, they'll see this finishing line, and they like, you can see that just they're a few inches taller, and they run. They sprint, whatever's left, they give it. And they think they're running fluidly and beautifully, but they look horrendous. They're still running like a thin man, but it's not the point. It's they've got this moment of realization, and that the other gift is that self worth piece. They get that medal at the end, but what they get is that self worth. I'm deserving and capable of this. And you're right. What's more, and the whole ethos. We'll talk about my Flawed Hero Marathon in a second, but every
Yeah.
year we've done 2 years now. Something there's different meaning behind it, and this year's narrative was all about there is no finish line. There is no finish
Yeah.
line. There is one in life. That's where it's at. Everything in between is all little chapters. So when you
Yeah.
cross that finishing line of an event, that's just the start line for what's next.
Yeah.
If we put everything into one event, and you couldn't run any harder, you don't go anywhere. You cross the finishing line. How on earth are you going to replicate that? Those endorphins, all those feelings, you don't, because what comes up will come down. So the post event blues is massive. But how do you replicate running this event that you've never run before with that many people cheering you on? It's wild. You have this massive elation, and then you go down again. You don't then run for 2 or 3 weeks. You put your trainers on a month later, and you can barely run down the road. And it's you're like, oh, what's happened here? So I think we just need to be a bit kinder to ourselves and realize that there's only one finishing line in life. The rest is just chapters and a start line to what's next.
Yeah. Do you know, as you were describing that bit about going down the mall and stuff, I was like, I could like feel the emotion come back in me because I've done that twice now, and done Brighton twice in between both. And God, I think if you want a reminder that there is way more love and kindness and compassion and heart-led people and like a ton of heroes everywhere in life, than there is what the media likes to put out about, all the whatever like negative stuff happening in the world. I really believe there's more of the light. I always say just go and either run a marathon or support a marathon or like just be in that energy because it's literally everyone holding each other, whether you're on the course as a runner, whether you're a volunteer supporting the runners, whether you're like friends, family, or strangers, like pe people want to champion people. And like you said, like, why can't that be 365 days a year? I think that's one of the big drivers in my business is like, gosh, like if we all just like championed and cheerleaded each other just that bit more, the world would shift because yeah, we have this one finish line. It's going to happen. None of us know when. So why wait? Why, like let's make every day like
I
feel
think
valuable.
I think it's just a day of reminding that everyone else has got things going on. And I
Yeah,
think whether you're right, whether you're a runner, you feel it, you feel the love from others. But not when you're a spectator, you see the load that people are carrying, and you can see them push. You see them in discomfort, and they're still carrying on. I think just this whole it just we serve each other, we look after each other, and I think that's just beautiful. But I think short term memory, we forget, we go back to ourselves. It's then looking in the mirror, going, what else have I got to could be consumed? We then forget that there are billions of people on the planet also going through hardship or difficulties because not everyone's not we haven't got it easy. Everyone's got different trials and
yeah.
tribulations and stresses and pain and all the rest of it. We just need to be kinder to ourselves and realize that other people have stuff going on too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I would love to ask you about joy and where you feel you're at in your joy journey. Is it something that you've always found easy to access? Yeah, what kind of comes up for you when I ask that?
Um, I guess I'm a creature of simple habits, to be honest. I keep my circle very tight. I love my wife and daughter very much. Got my pets at home that drive me crazy. Simple things make me happy. They do. I've invested now myself more into kind of my jiu-jitsu journey. Now getting injured all the time because I'm a lot older, getting older, and bits and pieces start to creak. Um, but I get a lot of joy in purpose. I think with the Flawed Hero Marathon in particular, I don't have to run a marathon to get that scratch. I get a lot of joy in watching people do something quite remarkable. I genuinely
Yeah.
do. And when we talk about the marathon in a second, you'll understand. But I'm there from 3 o'clock in the morning on the finish line until 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, making sure every single person gets a cuddle and a medal. That is it, because it's such an important
Oh,
moment to capture. You know, and for years I thought it was about the London Marathon. I've always thought it was about the Mall, this magical finishing line, and it is wonderful. But in 3 years, I've realised it's not about the Mall. It's nothing to do with that. It could be a finish line anywhere. Now we're in Letchworth, Hertfordshire at midnight. No one's there. It's pitch black.
yeah,
But that finishing line, and I've had people that run London Marathon before, many events before. Their joy and what they go through, it's unbelievable. So it's just creating a feeling, and I just get a lot of joy in watching people. I said that sounds a bit weird. I get a lot of joy out of seeing people's emotion at the finishing line because
yeah,
I know that they've got what they needed to get out of that. Or they've let go of something, or I understand. So for me, that provides joy because it feels like you've helped people. We want to help people, right? And I know that's given some level of shift. And you're right. What else are they capable of?
yeah.
They've done a marathon through the night, midnight. They've never run a marathon before, and they're like, "What else am I capable of?" And also, I can't really complain that I'm tired anymore. I can't really use the excuse of not doing something because I'm tired. So I've now found a new leveled up. My appreciation of myself is higher. What else can I do? So I'm getting joy out of that at the moment. But yeah, I think I find it quite easy. Probably easier now. Probably get a little bit more stoic in my older age, but I think it's having purpose. I think it's having that a North Star, and I'm going in a positive direction. So I think, yeah, I'm getting joy from seeing what others deemed they couldn't do, but they've proved that they can.
Yeah. So when you mentioned that bit about the joy from the emotion, I totally get that because um like to see someone that has traveled through, certainly in a marathon, you travel through a lot of different emotions in my experience. And I think that's probably anyone that's listening and you're nodding away, that's probably true for anyone that's ever run one. But I think anything we do where there's something that we feel we want to cross or we want to shift or activate some change with, actually, that like the emotion of like, oh my gosh, I did that thing or I've let go of that thing, or do you know what felt heavy doesn't feel as heavy now. I witness that in the workshops that I do, and I in some ways, like saying I love the emotion, like you said, it sounds, but I do, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this means there's some freedom on the other side, because who knows how long that bit has kind of been carrying around. And when there's freedom on the other side, there's room. And then what does the room say? Like the room says, well, do you know what? Well, maybe I'm going to go for that job that I thought I wasn't capable of, or maybe I'm going to go and travel to that place on my own, that I didn't feel brave enough to do. Or maybe I'm gonna like have some cleaner and clearer boundaries, and that's going to make me feel better in myself. Like it doesn't have to be big and wild, right? But it's just, and it can be, right? All of the things can be true, but it's more that thing of like, oh gosh, where we create that space, then we're just like we're living more optimally, aren't we? And that might speak to then someone's purpose, direction, all the things. But I think ultimately it's about life richness, like living. living their lives in a way that feels fully like alive and rich for them in that moment. Does that make sense?
Totally agree with that. And also, it's the impact. It's not just the impact on that individual, but it's the ripple effect as well. It's
Yeah.
knowing that, what did that one event for that person mean to the rest of the family? Because that letting go can then change relationships. Better, husband, wife, father, mother, friend, whatever it might be. You become a better version of that. And as you're speaking, one of the guys that ran, he ran this year, ran last year as well, but a great guy, and he finished it first marathon ever, and just his family were there. His mum, his dad, his wife, his two children were there. They're all in tears, in pieces.
Oh,
And I'm like, wow. And I'd never met them before. Ever. I gave him a cuddle, and we shared a moment. And then I saw him cuddle all his family. And what I saw, the most touching bit was his dad give him a cuddle, gave him a cuddle, kissed him on the cheek, told him, I'm proud of you. Then looked at me and just mouthed, thank you.
oh, oh my gosh, I'm welling up, Phil.
I
I've
mean,
got massive goosies.
but that's what I know. That, and so I know that I didn't know I didn't know their story, but
Yeah.
and that for me one that galvanizes a family, that galvanizes, and you come back, and it's I've got a million of these stories, and that's why Flawed Hero was born. I've spent years doing London Marathon and intimately speaking to people and their fears and concerns to get on the start line of the London Marathon. I've been on the phone till midnight the night before, help guide people on the start line. There's a lady who, and on the Friday night before, she was running for refuge at the charity, and this is terrible. Obviously, you don't think about it, but she was convinced that her ex partner would track her and be there on the finish line. So it's terrible. So we had
Oh,
to then contact the charity, the London Marathon, change her race number, and it's just remarkable. And I've been on the phone. That 2023 year, I had someone calling me up at 5 o'clock in the morning who was being sick, going, "What can I eat in McDonald's?" It's so that's it for me. It's I'm human led. I'm not the best running
yeah.
coach in the world. I don't need to be, but I understand humans and I understand what people go through, having lived a life and been through the challenges. So I recognise that in people. Um, and just all throughout the years, the stories that I'm actually writing at the moment about it all, and I get to share that with Flawed Hero intimately. We have a boutique event where it's all about the individuals, and it's just curated beautifully, full of wonderful people, and it's just cool. It's a very cool event.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I just really felt so emotional when you shared that story of that guy because yeah, what has that rippled out for all relationships that are linked with him, and I think we can almost be too flippant about a thing that we do, and I know lots of people like hold a marathon in, high regard, but we can almost be too dismissive of the thing that we're doing because we look on it as the thing, not the wider, like ramifications of it all, so yeah, that's incredible. And there are so many stories, like you say, you've been doing it for years. I've only, done a few and as someone taking part, but have heard lots of stories from people. And like when I was running Brighton, I had like really bad knee pain from about 14 or 15 miles. But I wasn't very well the few days before I got a cold. So like my body just wasn't at its best. So then things start to niggle, don't they? And as I was running it, I was like, there's someone running this that's got stage 4 cancer. There's someone running this that has lost the use of their legs. Um, there's someone running this that has lost, like fill in all the blanks. There's so many, isn't there? Or is losing, or there's so many things, isn't there? And I was like, when I finish, my knees are going to stop hurting. My situation will change. All those other things, they're not changing, So like it's so interesting, isn't it? Where again, it's like that narrative, like what you say to yourself and how you can talk yourself into doing things which might feel a stretch at the time or unimaginable at the time. But it's like, okay, like there's an end point for me. the knees, they'll be okay. They're just kind of going, do we have to run a marathon today? And I'm like, yeah, yes, we do. This is what we signed up for. So, yeah, like what we say to ourselves can make all the difference, can't it?
I think we need that perspective, and that's the beauty. You summed up some of the stories there. You're right. On a course, there's people going through far worse than we are, but some people will look at what you're going through, going, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this." And that it's all about perspective. We've all got our
Yeah,
stories. We've all got our things going on, and um, we never know what other people are dealing with. And I just think it's nice to like these events are great. These marathons are great. These events are brilliant because you're just together. It begins this togetherness, and it is about perspective, and also you support others when they're struggling, and when you're struggling, someone's going to support you. So the event,
yeah,
it's our Flawed Hero Marathon. It's a loop-based marathon. It's 15 laps, and it works really well because we've got some quicker runners and we've got people that are just walking it. It doesn't matter. When you overtake someone, you're just going to pat them on the back and check in with them. And if
mm,
someone's to do the same with you if you're struggling, and that for me is that lovely little analogy of what life could be like. Check in with people more. Are you okay? Keep going. And you never know the power of those words because that person might have wanted to stop, and as you come around, you're reassuring them that they can keep going. And that's enough. So I think there's a
yeah,
lot of synergy between these events and kind of life, and
yeah.
you take the learnings from that. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And like we all need medicine, and when I say medicine, it's like whatever the things are that help us feel like ourselves because life is, it's a complete roller coaster and sometimes we're feeling like really like good in whatever's going on around us and other times it can be less so, and then we might be chucked a massive curveball which can add to all the things. So I think having medicine like our tools, our habits, our practices, rituals, like whatever like language resonates, I think is so helpful. And obviously we were talking about running a lot, and I know running is like a huge passion of yours. It's become a passion of mine. Now I've rediscovered it when I was 45 and went, oh my gosh, I'm going to try this thing and see if I could do it. And manage to run a marathon from not being able to run more than 2 minutes. But yeah, I'd love to know like what's like maybe running's your go-to medicine, but when the days are tough, right? We all have tough days, it's just part of our humanness. And I think again, it's just like acceptance, allowance, like recognizing it, like letting people hold us because we're holding, let's be held as well. But yeah, what's your medicine that you just know will always kind of help you get a bit more back to fill? Maybe there's an array of them, or maybe there's one that really is like, this is my go-to. But yeah, do you kind of love when you're having a tough day?
that's really important. And you're saying kind of medicine and toolboxes, and they're things that resonate. I think exercise is a medicine, but it's dosage and prescription based. Like
Mm,
it's really important that you don't dose incorrectly. If you are so haven't slept well, you're highly stressed. You probably shouldn't go out and batter out a run. You probably shouldn't do a interval based session. You're probably best off going. That time my day needs to be done this way. I need to recover. I need to reset. I need to do some good stuff. There's a difference between exercise and training. One's
mm,
more stressful than the other. And I think we've got to look at your diary and your day and go, right, what does my body need today? And I think it has to be that way. And that's what we go back to the marathon training. People have a lot of pressure on training plans, but they're not life plans. And I think we need to be very, very um, prescriptive in how we prescribe our exercise to ourselves. So for me personally, it depends. I love tech, so I've gone down the rabbit hole of technologies, wearables. I've got in and out of my love with wearable technology for years. We've got the mild hyperbaric chamber, red light therapy, PMF. We've got ice baths, infrared, and traditional sauna at home. But also, I've got lovely grass garden I can stand in. There's sunlight, there's breath work, there's all things. Actually, I will do things differently. I
yeah,
won't be in the ice bath every single day. I won't be going in the sauna every single day. I will prescribe those correctly, depending on how I feel. We've got to be very smart in what we're doing. So um, some days I'll train harder than others. I'll always do something, and
yeah,
something might just be double dog walk. Something might be I've got a great bit of tech called a Brain Tap, which actually is a headset that you can wear, and you can breath work within it. But it guides you and it sends blue and red light into your optic nerve and your ear as well, and it subconsciously talks to you. So one of my favorite programs is like a yoga nidra setting, and it's just cool. It just sends me to sleep. Hang on, my camera's gone off.
Yeah.
Let's try that again. There we go.
See, you're back. Yay.
Um, it sends you to sleep, but deeply relaxes me. I can feel the difference in that. So I think breath work is probably one of the biggest takeaways for most people. I think breathing is so important. I think
Mm,
knowing how to breathe differently is really important. How um, there's just different ways of doing it. There's a lot of different breath techniques that I use. That's probably my go-to as I
yeah.
possibly can. So I think it's day to day. So not one particular go-to. It will be prescribed on how I feel. But anything between tech and nature, combination of both, breath work, sauna, ice bath.
Yeah.
But I think with running, it's a great modality, and it is a modality. I think it teaches you a lot. That's the important thing of it. I'm never going to run every single day. I don't think that's necessarily right for me. A, a run will show up exactly what's going on. So you go for a run, it will tell you if you haven't slept well, if you're stressed, if anything. If you haven't fueled correctly, if you haven't recovered sufficiently, a run will show up exactly what has shown up in your life in the last 24 to 48 hours. So I
Mm.
think you learn a lot from any run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think the biggest takeaway there, and I share this a lot with clients of mine. It's like we've got to listen to our bodies, haven't we? Got to listen to our bodies. Um, and I think a simple question we can ask ourselves every day. But again, we often just we get up and we just like we just do the things. But like, what do I need today? And maybe we planned to go and do that run, but like you say, didn't sleep well for whatever reason. So it's like actually, like just correct it. Does like a slow walk feel like a better fit? Does just lying down, if you've got a garden area, does just lying down on some grass feel like a better fit? And I remember, I don't know if it was a podcast I was listening to, um, but a yoga teacher was saying, like getting your mat out and lying on your mat is yoga, right? And we can tell ourselves that things have to look a certain way. And, like with the running vanity metrics and all the things, but actually having a toolbox of stuff so we can meet ourselves where we're at without judgment, always with kindness. Because that's never going to serve us, is it, and support us, and just then give ourselves what we need. I think absolutely giving ourselves movement, giving ourselves opportunities to like breathe more deeply, to calm ourselves down, to slow things down. I think as much as we can integrate those into our everyday is like really important. Doesn't have to be in a like a wild, huge way, does it? It's about grabbing little moments. Like you mentioned, like you could just put your feet on the grass, just giving yourself what you need so you can reset, self-regulate. Like my big kind of like love is always Mother Nature. I know you mentioned Mother Nature a lot, but I just think, even if we're in a really, really, really busy place, there's little pockets of Mother Nature everywhere, like a park, and there might be a pond in the park. So there's like water again. I'm a big water lover, but just where we can just go, like whether we're walking there, running there, rolling on the grass, looking at the sky, just taking a moment. I think, yeah, bringing ourselves back to that question of what do we need, and then having a listen. That's been a massive shift for me because I didn't always used to do that. I don't know if that was your experience.
Got programmed to do that, are we? I think programmed to keep go, keep resilience. Or I think we often
Yeah,
wear resilience as a badge of honor instead of just
yeah,
recognizing that that's just because we've become exceptional at suffering more. We've been
yeah,
conditioned to actually suffer more, and in fact, it's really hard. As a guy, it's very hard to slow down because we're like, I need purpose. I must be doing stuff. That's kind of like how a lot of us are. Well, definitely how I've been wired. Must be busy. Must do more. Must do more. Must do more. Um, so that's why I love. There's some certain tech which is great, which forces me to do it.
Right.
So if I need something just to force, or jump in the hyperbaric chamber, I can't go anywhere. I'm forced. I'm locked in a little chamber for an hour. I can't go anywhere, and I don't have to think because actually it's doing what it needs to do without me having to do any work. I think that's sometimes quite nice because if you've got a very busy brain, you can beat yourself up quite a lot if you can't slow down. Like, why can't I slow down? So if there's some good tech out there to help you then slow down, but you're right, you can just take your shoes and socks off and go grounding and breathe differently and soak up some sun. So there's different ways of doing it. I think we all have to explore our own toolboxes and actually stick more stuff in there to enable us to prescribe properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%, making the space and being intentional. I think there's and actually I'll add to that, the implementation is really key, isn't it? Because we can be intentional, but then maybe not do the thing because life or whatever. So I think it's I think you said earlier about one foot in front of the other, and that's what I've always said to myself with my marathon training, whether it's gone how I want it to go or it's looked different. I'm like, just keep putting one foot in front of your other, it's like take the steps. So whether that is like a 5 minute thing or a 10 minute thing or something high energy or something slower, lower energy, it's the action like makes all the difference, isn't it?
It's all movement. It's all movement, and
Yeah.
that's Flawed Hero Movement was always going to be my take on what a run club would be. Because I think when we say run club, the first thing people say is, "Well, I'm not a runner." I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. And also, I think walking is probably the most underrated, most important modality there is out there.
Yeah.
But movement can also be to get off a sofa, or get away from your house to a place of community. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people who are stuck there, who are stuck within. Movement for some people is just to get to a place of community. That could be the coffee shop, or somewhere where there's people that know your name or will talk to you or will check in with you. It doesn't have to. For me, it's not about running; it's about movement. Because I think by you
Yeah.
label something run, then you're taking away the importance of showing up, making a start line, making the commitment to yourself, and also something as simple as walking. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's incredible what you're doing, and what you will continue to do with Flawed Hero. Um, I would love to know, like, I mean, this could be quite hard because maybe it's a mixture of things, but like what has helped you get to this point of creating this incredible thing where like it's changing people's lives, right? And that's, like that's an incredible gift to share, isn't it, with people? It's a beautiful legacy, right? I think it's like it's great for us to look at why we're here and what like positive imprint we can have on the world. So for you to be in your third year is absolutely amazing. Like what helped you get to this point of creating the Flawed Hero and for it to, be this like this new kind of marathon on the map?
there's quite a few bits to that. I think that's quite a big one. I'm writing at the moment. I'm writing the
Yeah, I'm aware it's a big question. Sorry, but I'm just
no,
like, I've got to ask it.
it's important to have that depth. No, it is. It's life experience. It's just
Yeah.
um, having the privilege of supporting so many people. I think I was involved with London Marathon before Strava, before Facebook, before Instagram, before carbon plated foot shoes, before the algorithm based training apps. I was there before all of it, so I saw what it was, and it was what I loved about it was seeing people dressed as massive sunflowers or rhinos. That's what I loved about it. 28,000, 30,000 people, wonderful. We've now got this beast of something called running, and the culture's changed significantly. And many of the marathon majors around the world want to be the biggest and the best. And whilst I understand that, with 1.3 million people applying for a ballot who are now getting rejected, and I'm terrible with rejection. I think, and what it's doing, we're rejecting people from having some therapy. And there's so many people within that who probably need that North Star. So my marathon's at midnight the day of the London Marathon, be that Saturday, Sunday crossover, because I want to give people an option. And also call people out, because every single year it happens. People play, poor me, oh my gosh, I didn't get placed in the ballot. I'm like, it's so easy to get placed in the marathon. You just didn't want to do it. There are so many charity places. If you really want to do it, you can do it. And don't say
Yeah.
to me, fundraising's hard. Life's hard. By raising, and I think for me, if you're running on a marathon, you should be wearing a charity race bib. If you're lucky enough to get a ballot place, you need to wear a charity bib and you need to raise some cash. That's what it's about for various reasons. One, you got to, you know, one thing that prevents people from getting the start line is, one, it's not training correctly, but two, it's not being accountable. As soon as you've got a fundraising page, as soon as you've got people's hard-earned cash in a Just Giving or a Give will be my preferential partner of choice for a fundraising platform. Shout out to GiveWell. Um, you're more inclined to show up and be on that start line. If you've got no money in a fundraising page, when time gets tough in February, you've been there, and March, it's cold, you're not where you thought you'd be. If you haven't committed or told the world you're doing it, you're going to be out that back door, and you'll just defer till the following year. So um, every single person should be fundraising. So yeah, so it was recognizing that people needed a North Star. It's me saying, did you want to run 26.2 miles on that date or not? That's it. It's not
Mm.
moaning about it. Did you want to run a marathon? Because I've got something really cool, really, really cool. And you'll be done before the fastest people on the planet have stepped foot in Blackheath. So that was the genesis of it. The Flawed Hero brand came from a simple thing my daughter said when I picked her up from school. She was, I think, 7 or 8 at the time. I picked her up and they'd just done a PSHE lesson in class, and the subject matter was we are living longer in life, and there's a likelihood that a lot of us in that room would get cancer. That was delivered to her. It's like, wow, that's quite a heavy subject. So when I picked up my daughter from school, her teacher said, "Mr. Roberton, can I have a word with you, please?" I said, "Of course." She said, "Well, this is the lesson. Your daughter put her hand up and said, 'Miss, I won't get cancer. My daddy won't let me.'" And it was just such a powerful statement of this child looking at us like we're superheroes. And I was like, that's really cool, darling. Love you lots, and there's things I can and can't do. But it made me realise that if you're in a position, you're lucky enough to choose to have a child, they look at us like we're heroes. Um,
Right.
that was the epicenter of it. And I realised, actually, I'm not perfect at all. I'm far from it. But it doesn't mean I'm broken. I don't need fixing. I'm flawed. I'm a flawed hero. That was what it was. And so I just parked it. I was like, that's really cool. I'll just trademark it. And I left it for like 7 years until the a few puzzle pieces fitted into place. One was walking a marathon for prostate cancer, carrying a full-size cardboard cutout of my late father, and realising that I was with all these men and women, um, but they'd walked this marathon. There was no talk about time. No one cared about what time they finished. They were just talking, walking, talking, and I was like, this is genius. More men need to do this. So it's combined that. I did some work in November, and a few bits and pieces just happened. And then I was like, right, you know what? I haven't forgotten about you guys. I'm going to be at the Broadway Cinema in Letchworth at midnight on this date. Don't care what your backstory is. Who wants to do a marathon? And that was pretty much it. And we had about 40 people take part. Brilliant people. It was just cool, and it wasn't going to be a one-off. But then I realised that actually there's more to this. It symbolises a lot as well. We go at midnight, and we watch the sunrise. And that's not always guaranteed in life. And I think there's quite a lovely thing with this whole therapy piece of from going to the dark to the light. And it's just
Mm.
it's very cool. And so we finished the first Flawed Hero Marathon. I then created it properly, probably 2025. Chip timed, slicker. We had just shy of 100 people. We raised £80,000 for charity. This year we supported Prostate Cancer UK and a local hospice to us. And it's just full of normal people. Just some will run, but it just works. I could spend all day speaking about every single person's story, but often their stories to tell. And I just encourage people to check out my Instagram, go to YouTube, watch some of the video content, and see if the event speaks to people, because it's brilliant. We start within a theatre. My wife sings beforehand. Everyone gets an opportunity to put their reason why they're doing it on the big screen. I said that before. It's not about the how, it's the why. Why are you going to continue to keep moving at 3 o'clock in the morning where it's dark, it's cold, you're an adult and you should be in bed? You're like, what am I doing? It's the reason why. So we need to connect everyone's whys together. My wife sings on top. It just subconsciously feels different. And then you have
Mm.
that massive moment of perspective of everyone else is going through stuff too. And you go
Mm.
at midnight, and first couple of laps are really exciting. It's something nostalgic and naughty about being awake while people are sleeping. Then it gets colder and darker. Then it's tough, but it needs to be tough. Then you hear the birds singing, and then you see the sunrise. and then you finish. It's just, it works beautifully. And we're going again next year. So if anyone wants to do something really cool and says says, I'd love to do that, but I don't think I can or I couldn't, drop me a note, we'll have a conversation. And within probably a couple of minutes, I'll have you on that start line committed, because majority of people can do it if they choose and want to do it. The beauty of doing it at midnight is there's no time. It's no one's going to ask you how long did it take you to do it. They'll be like, why on earth would you do that? And your response is because I can.
Yeah.
And you'll be surrounded by amazing people. And it's again not just here's your place, see you on the start line. It's full stewardship. We've got a community WhatsApp group. We've got lots of meetups throughout. I'm putting in 20 years of London Marathon experience into my event. I know what it takes to get people on the start line. So sign up. You get me part of something amazing. And I would love to have 300 people on the start line next year. I'd love to collectively raise £250,000, but I need people to say, why can't that be me? And it's 1 in 50 or 1 in 60 people are in the country have applied for the marathon, London Marathon. So many being rejected. So if you get rejected, don't moan about it. If you really want to do London, great. Have a great day. Contact the charity and raise some cash. Commit to changing your life by showing up in the London Marathon start line and change the lives of others through fundraising. But if you want to do something a bit different, you want to run a marathon on that weekend, you'll be gratefully received with Flawed Hero Marathon for 2027. So did you want to run a marathon or not? Don't moan about not getting a place in the ballot, because you can still get a place. If you still can't get a place in the charity world, I'll point you in the right direction so you can get a place. Or if that's not on the menu, come and run with us, guys.
Yeah. It comes to that question, doesn't it? Do you want to run a marathon or not? And I so concur with everything you're saying, because when I decided I wanted to run a marathon, I was like, okay, I'm just going to apply for a charity place, because I just decided that I was going to run the marathon. And this is the thing, it's the decision. And otherwise, what we're doing is we're going, oh, I might really. When we enter something like the ballot, it's like, oh, I might. Oh, and lots of people breathe a sigh of relief when they don't get it,
100%. Yep.
right? So it is the decision. So honestly, if anyone is listening and going, I say this to anyone, I have lots of conversations with people now, because they've seen me go for someone who wasn't running to then someone who like could do a 5K, then a 10K, then a half, and then a marathon, and now has run a marathon every year of her 50s. And they're like, wow, like must be something special. I mean, I'm not special. We're all special, right? We're all special, right? There's nothing different about me. I've just kept on taking the steps. And I always say to them, oh, there you go, I'd love to run that. I go, just forget about, just totally park that. If you get the ballot place, great. Like you say, still run for a charity. Absolutely, always have a charity bib. I'm like, bypass that. Don't wait. Be proactive. Just get yourself a place. And then when they go about the money, I go, okay, well, message me and I'll tell you how to hit your 2K. I said, surefire way that you can absolutely smash. Each marathon I've run has been for a cause, and each time has easily smashed the 2K mark, and well over actually. So I give all the reasons like around all the kind of objections. I'm like, okay, I'll help you.
That's great.
I'll tell you. So if you're listening and you're going, okay, London's for me. So just make it for you and apply for a charity right now. If as Phil's saying, you want to run a marathon, do something that's like different and like has got a different edge to it, like chat with Phil about the Flawed Hero, because yeah, like you say, you don't cross that finish line the same person. It's a different person
And also, we don't
emerging.
have we have people support all night. We don't have the 800,000 people, but that's the thing. London Marathon is great. It's brilliant. You're a celebrity for the day. You get a lot of external validation. That's the one thing I would say. With Flawed Hero, it's slightly different. You don't get the crowd. So when it's hard, you have each other. And also, it has to come from within. To carry on, it has to come from within. And that's that's the internal self-worth piece. It's not the when it's tough, I've got someone yelling out my name on my bib and that's what helps you run. It's not about that. It's about when it's tough, why am I choosing to do this? And that's the growth. That's the important piece. We've got two pubs that stay open all night for us. We've got a hotel restaurant open up all night for us exclusively. So in a 1.66 mile loop through the town, you're fully supportive. There's cheer points. It's just very special. We've got a wicked finishing line, and next year it's going to be even bigger and better. So just need wonderful people to get involved.
Yeah, I teach a lot about internal validation. I think we're so used to the outsourcing and the external celebration coming to us. And actually, when we can get to a place where we see our worth, we see who we are, and like you say, we're all flawed. Like nobody's running around in a perfect life with a perfect iteration of X, Y, and Z. We've all traveled through lots of different things. It just makes us who we are. But I think coming to that place of like I am validating myself because I love myself, because I've decided I'm worthy, despite all these things that may have happened along the way. I'm gonna see myself for who I am and not give myself this like I've got to get to this place to be worthy. I've got to do these things to be worthy. I'm actually just going to decide it now for myself. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that about the external validation because there's a lot going on in London, and you will get the internal thing too. But actually, in an event like yours, it's like
It's a
I
lot.
imagine people grow, right? Like they finish and they're like standing taller and more like fully taking up space because what they've achieved is incredible, right?
Speaking of quickly incredible achievements, are we going to mention Mr. David Walker at all?
Oh gosh, yes. Well, we
Your
need
great,
to wrap up in a
I
moment. We
know,
should absolutely
your great
mention.
idea. It
Well,
was
I was going to
ridiculous.
say, I am. I do. So yes, let's mention before we wrap up, let's mention Mr. David Walker, who is an absolute legend because he is the first person who has done the double actually. So the double's already happened, hasn't it? And this came from a Zoom where we were on, I guess towards the end of Before Running London in 2025. And I I do get excited and I talked about doing the double. And David was really on board, wasn't he? Because he was going to be 52 and the 26, 26 and all the things. I was like, yes, amazing, let's do it. And I'm holding my hands up. I didn't do it. I very quickly realized that it probably would be a bit of an ask for myself. And I'm not saying things like that aren't possible, but I definitely last year I had a lot of menopausal stuff going on and my body was feeling pretty wrecked. So the right decision for me was not to be like putting myself in that scenario. But I mean, he's an utter legend because he has completed both, hasn't he? And raised a huge amount of money, hasn't he?
Raised
From
£10,000 this year. Uh, always with a smile on his face.
yeah.
Always. We did Flawed Hero. We got a taxi to Welwyn Garden City. No, we got a taxi to Tower Bridge. That's right. And then did London Marathon after. But what a challenge! What a stress! And um, just amazing. Just super cool. Rumor
Yeah.
has it he might be doing it again next year if he gets the Saturday place. If he gets a Saturday, he'll do London Marathon, then Flawed Hero after.
Oh my gosh. See, look, and this is the thing, right? It unlocks something where you go, okay, so what else? What else? What else? And isn't that amazing in life that we find the stretch points, we find the purpose, the drive, like what feels possible. So yeah, I love that. Amazing. Right, Phil, I'm going to invite you to do some laughter breaths if you're up for it. I know sometimes this becomes like a little bit of a cringe point for some of my guests. However, I am all about us having different tools in our toolbox and for us using one that like if you look at like babies, kids, like they are born laughing. So it's something they use so powerfully to help them be in their joy and feel joyful. So I love to share it. So I'll talk you through it. And anyone listening, I'd love you to join in and notice how you feel. See, look, my body's already gone like, yay, we're gonna laugh. So my voice kind of changes because like the giggles start to erupt. This is what happens when we like retrain our brains, right? And work with those neural pathways, like we can do with many things around mindset and movement. But I won't digress into that. So we're going to breathe in through our noses in a mo. And then when we breathe out, we're going to exhale with laughter. And just notice how you feel. And even if it feels like a little bit unnatural, just trust it and see how long you can laugh for. All good? Yeah. You've
Stuff.
run loads of marathons. So this
Good.
is like a, this is a tiny piece like of that. Okay, so let's breathe in and then exhale with laughter. Oh, you know me, I do actually just let it continue. And the reason why is with laughter yoga, the extended laughter is what we're looking for because then it lowers our cortisol and it raises up our endorphins. So anyone that's going to like say take on a big challenge like a marathon, like the Flawed Hero Marathon, having a laughter practice, look, honestly would be so supportive with you, with your mindset, with your beliefs, because it like when we're feeling a bit anxious about stuff, our cortisol really rises. So finding different ways for us to help that lower and release our more helpful hormones is, yeah, super, super helpful. So if you were listening and you're thinking about doing something that's gonna like be a big, challenge or stretch for you, like try some laughter with it. Oxytocin, or hormone of connection, love, again, another great reason to do events. So we're doing stuff which has us coming together in community. Phil, I'd love to know, how did you find that?
Oh, it's so fun. Again, yeah, you had us in hysterics. You helped one of the track days for Great Ormond Street twice, and oh, it just tickles you. It's just infectious. It's just actually watching other people break down as well because we are very kind of. In fact, Mr. Walker, I know, was he there? I can't remember. No, it was someone else. I can't remember. But they changed massively. It was really interesting. We did a Zoom call. I remember you did it, and when people go and finally let go, and they go, you can just see bodies
Yeah.
change. You can see that stiffness go, that freedom come back, and that I guess that joy show up.
Yeah, I've had people come to workshops of mine. Yeah, obviously that was like, like 20 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
Do a full 60-minute workshop. And at the end, they've shared, I haven't laughed for one person who said, I haven't laughed for 10 years, right? 10 years, so obviously a lot of stuff had been going on. Saw them again the year later, and like the shift in them was huge, right? Saw them again a year later, did the same workshop with me. She came bouncing up at the end and was like, I'm the person that hadn't laughed for 10 years. And I was like, wow, I talk about you a lot and I've no doubt it changed your life. She said, it did. And she's like this. I'm like, wow, the power of putting ourselves in places that, are out of that wouldn't have been in her comfort zone to have come to that session. If you haven't laughed for 10 years, you don't want to go to a laughter workshop. But she was obviously in a place of readiness to make things different. And this is the thing where we're doing things which are a stretch out of our comfort zone, whether it's like a laughter workshop, running Flawed Hero Marathon, like whatever it is, when we go through it and come out the other side, like that's the growth.
Easy.
Okay. That is the growth. And then it's like, okay, well, what next? What next? Oh, thank you so much, Phil. You've been an absolute legend. I really like we could talk for hours and hours, but I'm conscious of your time and our listeners' time. And perhaps it means we need to do another episode when I do another season, because there's lots to share about Flawed Hero and lots to share about, yeah, like we're all normal people, right? But we're all capable of doing incredible things. Sometimes it's about being in the right spaces, we're having the right guidance, the right community. Um, and sometimes if we struggle to cheerlead ourselves, then get other people on board to cheerlead, and then it becomes a bit easier, right? But yeah, obviously I'll share everything in the show notes. But before we wrap up, I'd love you to just, yeah, share a final piece, anything you'd like to add, my lovely.
No, I've really enjoyed that. It's always nice to connect. I think we are missing connection points, and it's just nice to share more. I'd love to come on again and just share more stories. 'Cause I think that's what there's power in storytelling. There is. I think it's that perspective piece. Um, so no, I really enjoyed that. I've got some things to think about this afternoon actually. But I appreciate you having
Mm.
me on. Loved it.
Oh, so welcome, my lovely. And like I say, if anyone is curious about running a marathon, like Phil is your man, definitely. He's yeah, such a cheerleader for um like literally, like if you want to run a marathon, you absolutely can, you know. So he will be the person that can always champion you. And yeah, check out his Flawed Hero, which I will share in the show notes. Thank you all for listening. Phil, you've been a superstar. And yeah, I would love to hear any reflections. So please do reach out. If you've got any questions that come up, Phil, I'll share his Insta. Like he'll be really happy to chat on Insta, won't you, Phil? Just send him a DM or pop him an email if anything has come up. But yeah, thank you so much, Phil, my lovely. It has been an absolute delight to share this with you.
Thank you.